Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, folks. All right, first off, can you both see and hear me? And I had a smug smile to myself earlier in the week about my "can you see and hear me" thing, which you can, brilliant. Because I was on Sultan Plays on Wednesday last week, and we were live streaming, and he didn't do that check, and people could hear me and not him. So that conversation made no sense to anyone hearing it. But if you want to see me running around with Support Bubble Sultan from Deployment Zone, killing rats, check it out, Sultan Plays. Okay, so usual format. Well, I say usual format, slightly different format this time. I've just bruised my thumb on the chair, having just burnt my hands on defective oven gloves. So they don't affect the format, but they seemed relevant. I'm joined by my wonderful assistant, Crimson. You can see, here it is. You can see this much of her.
Can see my... Don't poke me.
She is real.
Don't poke me. No poking.
So
no poking no poking the hired help.
Well, quite. So, usual format. Oh my god, LW Vlog again.
We did have curry, Moog. We did have curry.
We had curry, but one person was too poorly to eat it. One person was too full to eat it, and it was too spicy for Sarah. So, disaster all around. And is there a scratch on my face, or have I got curry on my face? Is that a scratch, or is that curry?
It's a scratch.
Hooray! You know where I got that from. Sadly, LW Vlog, I'm still on the substitute Coca-Cola because Tesco have not got cans of Diet Coke caffeine-free back in. And I'm not practicing making curry for Paul Fest. You can all do your own food.
Best off.
So yes, I've said usual format, and we're 2.5 minutes in. I haven't said anything else. So I'm going to ramble for a little bit about what I've been doing this last week. Then I'll get on to the subject of the ramble. And then I'll get my fabulous assistant Crimson will pass me post-its periodically going, read that, and I'll read it out, and it might be something rude, and I'll go, that's not what it said, I'm sure. No, sure. Crimson is helping me with the questions. She is ever active in the chat. So what's going to be a little bit different is I've actually got a book in front of me this time, and I may be doing some flicking through the book, not to sort of read the bits. I've already read the book from cover to cover, not quite from cover to cover, but I've already read the book. But just to jog my memory about that, and another thing, etc. But it's not going to be and another thing. Well, it kind of is. It kind of isn't. It isn't. It isn't. Isn't it? Isn't it? Nah, we'll get on to that. Okay, so what has this last week been like? Oh, well, I already mentioned I did the live streaming with Sultan. That was good fun. We started playing at 6 o'clock. Well, we started streaming on his channel at 6 o'clock. And I tried joining the game, and it said installing. And I'm like, why is it trying to install? It said join game, install. And Sultan had downloaded Vermintide 2. Not Vermintide. So we both had different versions of the game. So we were like, right. Yeah, we're going live in 10 minutes. Oh, dear. So then we did the okay, who do we think can download the other one quickest? So we went with Vermintide, and we killed lots of rats, and we discovered Sultan's new nickname. But I guess you have to go and watch his channel to find that out. It would be incongruous of me to call him Rat Boy on air again. Anyway, so that was good fun. Did a bit of filming last week. Did I do any solo? I know I did a couple of really good videos. They were good for them. They were good to do. I have no idea if they were good to watch. So Gambit and I did a War of the 10 Legions battle, Death Guard versus World Eaters, and that was loads of fun. It went right down to the wire, which I was quite surprised about. That was a great laugh. Although I did discover after somebody who I can't remember commented on the Black Legion versus Fallen Dark Angels video that went up on Sunday for members that I'd forgotten that Astartes Chainswords are -1 AP for like 2 whole games. So, whoops. So that will go up at some point soon. I also had my first game of Aeronautica Imperialis with the Claw on Friday, and that was super duper. That's going up in a couple of weeks.
No one says super duper anymore.
I do.
No.
I do.
Don't ever do that again. It's not cool.
Don't care.
Super duper.
Bringing it back. You said it.
No.
Bringing it back. So, yes, it was a super duper game. And we've got more planned. It was loads and loads of fun. Yeah, wizard, man.
Wizard.
Thanks, Paul.
Better than super duper.
Paul sticking together. You've now said it more times than I have, just saying. What have I been doing hobby-wise? I finished building all of my Sector Imperialis terrain. No, not Sector Imperialis. What's it called? Sector Mechanicus, that's the one. Sector Mechanicus. And I sprayed all that on yesterday, because the forecast said it was going to be the last day of nice weather, or dry weather anyway. And that took about 2 hours to undercoat it all, laying it all out and turning it all over. It was a lot. It entirely covered two 2x4 boards. It's a lot of that. So looking forward to that. Also, they've sorted it all out and put it away neatly in boxes, hopefully at some point to then be painted in the future. Decided randomly to I decided at one point that I was going to assemble a load of corn demons. So randomly did that and undercoated those. I haven't done anything with them yet. I don't know what the next thing I'm going to paint is because I'm still finishing off this Imperial Guard Valkyrie that I started. And a bit of random terrain that I think it was from the Assault on Black Reach box. I think it was a downed aircraft of some sort. Not an Aurora lighter. What are they called? Anyway, it was a downed Imperial transport craft. And I realised, I could paint that with the same scheme as I do the Valkyrie. So I go, quite quick, paint all that. So I've been distracted onto that. But hopefully I should get those finished tomorrow. And then who knows what I move on to next. That's the one, Aquila Lander. Boom. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Moo. So, an interesting week of doing lots of stuff and feeling like I got nowhere. That's my thing. That's my thing. So, the last one remaining will be the Super Duper Paul. Thank you, Paul. So I thought we'd have a conversation about kind of a conversation. Well, it's a sort of monologue, really. But about this book. Because I've had a good look through it. I've read a bunch of stuff in it. And I have a bunch of thoughts. Not a fan of GW putting the book in a box set and releasing that before you can get your hands on the book. There are lots and lots of ways for GW to skim money off us and make extra profit, but this one doesn't sit particularly well with me because I wouldn't mind if they'd announced that if it was like a week's difference. So this, you got it like a week early. That would be okay, but they haven't announced when it's going to be. And I emailed them because the code in the back of this doesn't work. The unlock your book's contents code. And I emailed them and said it's not working. And they said, "Oh yes, it'll work on such a date, but you won't be able to use it in the app until the codex is released later this year." So obviously that's just their code for we're not telling you the release date. But really, it's more than a week or two. That's no fun. It also wouldn't be as bad if there was loads and loads of stock of this, but there wasn't. It was in very, very tight demand. So yeah, not a fan of that approach. So what are we looking at? Well, so let's talk about the Beast Snagger boys. So the first thing that I did was turn to the narrative section of the Beast Snaggers to find out what they're all about. And it's actually quite interesting. They're all about the hunt. They only gain pleasure. Yeah, it's a bit Slaneshi. Their raison d'etre is to hunt a quarry, to hunt a prey. Are we all right?
Yeah, somebody was just checking on the dog.
All right, okay. And like other, so in a similar way to how some orcs will wear like tusks, which are meant to symbolize that they've bested an opponent that's more vicious than they are. Sort of Beast Snaggers go like to the next level with that. They're all about hunting, and as such, they stay mobile. They're always moving, always looking for something else. And when they hunt particularly large animals, in this case, squigs, because I imagine if they follow this right the way through, they could have a massive product line, but they've gone with squigs. When they hunt squigs, they can if they can sort of beat the squig into submission and then be the one to ride it, then that's another status symbol. That's living the good Beast Snagger life. It also then talks about the hunting quarry can be anything. It can be enemy vehicles. It could be anything that's sort of big and powerful is a target for a Beast Snagger. So they're constantly on the move, nomadic. That's why they've got the big war rigs, which are pulled by what they called squigs. Yeah, pulled by squigs. The other thing I found quite interesting is it talks about they've got what's it called? I think it might be called a pain boss. It's like there's an HQ choice that's a Beast Snagger. Yeah, pain boss. There's like a Beast Snagger mech pain boy. And I sort of thought, well, what is this? This doesn't feel particularly Snakebitey, because obviously I wanted to try and draw out the difference from the book between the Beast Snaggers and the Snakebites. And the thing with the pain boss is specifically a Beast Snagger, and they specialize in bionics. And the rationale for that is these guys spend all their time around squigs and hunting squigs. So loads of them lose arms and legs, as do the squigs, when they sort of eat each other and so on. So they're all about bionic replacements. And I thought, okay, yeah, I can get behind that. It's sort of it's as primitive as it can be, without all the mucking about. What is quite interesting is they talk about Gork and Mork, and they elaborate a little bit about in what way Gork is brutal but cunning, and in what way Mork is cunning but brutal. I'll talk about that a bit. Hopefully I'll remember to come back to that. The other thing they've got is they've got the Beast Snaggers have got their own weirboy now called was Bragadoo? Or was a Werboy? I'm not a fan of what they're doing with the Weirboys. But because in the narrative bit, they still talk about the Weirboys being around large concentrations of orcs, and then there being a lot of pain and discomfort, so they try and stay away from it. And the ones who sort of live off the rush are the warpheads. Warpheads are no longer, from what I can see, warpheads are no longer a thing in the book. Oh, hi Ian Horlocks, welcome to level 2 exclusive content. Woohoo! Welcome aboard. So yeah, in the narrative, the weird boys try to stay as far away from the orcs as they can because they hurt and they know they might die through warp explosion because they absorb all the wire energy of the nearby orcs. The warpheads, they live off that rush. They run towards the greatest concentration of orcs so that they can they can feel the head rush, and the energy is let out of them in violent bursts. From what I can see, a warphead is no longer a thing in the book. There might be a stratagem that's so verbose I've missed it. I didn't dwell on the stratagem so much, but I did read through them and I don't remember that one being there. So I think warpheads are gone, stats-wise, rule-wise. And the orcs' ability to get more psychically powerful, the weird boys' ability to get more psychically powerful when they are near lots of orcs, that's still in there, but it used to be, based on the number of orcs, there was plus X to the psychic power, which could cause detonations, but also uber powerful casts. That's gone. That's gone. They've replaced it with, if there's more than 20 orcs nearby, they get to cast an extra spell. Which, okay, you can say they're absorbing more wire energy, so they're letting more out, but without the added peril of detonation, which makes me a bit sad. I used to like it when my weird boys would detonate. Sad that's gone. They've still got it's still referenced in the stats, but they've just spun it a different way to say they've absorbed so much wire energy they can cast twice. The psychic decks for the two different psychics, they've got the weird boys and the were boys. So now they've got. Oh, I can't find the page. Can I find the page? I've got to find the page. Right, the power of the Waaagh discipline is, hey, thank you, Chapter Master, is pretty similar. I mean, some of the spells have been tweaked slightly. Ebbang's still there, so it's Warpath and the Jump, and Fist of Gork and the Crunch, and most of these are raw psychic energy being let out from the Weird Boy. And that's still there in the narrative, and it's mostly still there in the stats. The Beast Head discipline, there's Roar of Mork, which is a spell that we used to have in 7th ed. I can't remember. It used to be a thing, which basically makes other units run away. Frazzle, I remember that from 2nd edition. It's a sort of green glow emanating around the gnarled cranium as he builds up a store of Waaagh energy within himself. At the point where the weird boy is almost fit to burst, waves of crackling energy flood out. Yeah, okay. That's cool stuff. Then we start to get into things like biting jaws. The weird boy conjures a set of enormous green jaws in front of him. Okay, I can still go with that. Then you've got Spirit of Gork, which stokes the bestial fury of nearby squigs. Basically gives squigs a buff. Then you go all the way down to things like Squiggly Curse, where the Werboy turns the enemy into squigs, who then go off and fight. You take mortal wounds from squigs appearing and then biting you. Beast Scent, the Werboy turns his nose to the sky, taking exaggerated sniffs as he does so. So you then give your Beast Snagger unit a buff because you can smell the target. These are some of these are a little bit too subtle for my liking. Jabbing Fingers was the Werboy one, where Werboy turns his attention on a nearby enemy before jabbing his fingers into his own eyes. The unfortunate foe experiences the agonizing pain before finding themselves temporarily blinded. Okay, so these are sort of curses. They're sort of subtle manipulation-y type thing, or unsubtle manipulation, but they're manipulation. But they're not the raw psychic. So my feelings are mixed on this. They've still gone for some real sort of headbanger stuff, and Frazzle I like. The Werboy is meant to be more of a sort of mystic, that he's meant to be revered by his nearby orcs rather than sort of shunned as a dangerous lunatic. I mean, I probably won't be using the Squiggly Curse anytime soon / ever. So they've kind of, it's okay. That's okay. That's okay. And that's my kind of feeling of the whole book, actually, is that it's okay. So that's what the Beast Snaggers are all about. Now, there is an interesting thing where it talks about the Snakebites and what is a snakebite. And it says things like, well, snakebites do have mechs, and they do have pain boys, and they do use technology, but they just don't really see the point. And it says about how a snakebite wouldn't necessarily see the point. Wouldn't necessarily see the point of building a hut when he can just sleep out under the stars. Wouldn't see the point in getting a spinning chain axe type thing when a sharpened piece of metal does the job just as well. Doesn't see the point in an engine when they can run. It's that kind of thing. And it's like, okay, I kind of get that. So I like that takes everything more simplistically view. That kind of gels, and I can see a distinction between the Beast Snaggers and the oh wow, C94 George, welcome to level 2 exclusive content. Hello. So I can see the distinction between the two, because in my Snakebite army, which is a fledgling army, because I've only got 12 models painted, there's a load in the various shelves and drawers and stuff. But I've got boys, and I've got tank busters, rocket on a stick. Can't get much more basic than that, technology wise. They talk about trucks, and it says they'll use trucks, but they'll probably be all held together with like vines and stuff. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Build a kit for it, please. Maybe they will. Maybe when they redo the truck kit, there'll be different bits for it. So I can see the distinction. I can see how you would be able to put your Beast Snaggers into another clan, because they're the nomad sort of warrior souls who will try and hunt down the biggest thing, and then they cover themselves in trophies of things they've killed. I do kind of like that. I think that's been done okay. I was worried that they were going to make Snakebites something that they haven't. Obviously, that they're not, that they haven't previously been, because obviously it's GW canonicalness, and it's always changing and so on. But I liked that distinction. The bit about Gork and Mork, let me find that. That was it. That was fun. I enjoyed reading that. There's like there's like 10 pages of narrative about what the orcs are about. There's a section called The Power of the Waaagh, Might Makes Right, The Old Ways. The Speed Freaks have been reduced to 3 little paragraphs. Orky Know What is a page about the technology. Distinction between tribes, clans, and warbands. I quite like. Talking about how a tribe can consist of boys of many clans, and mobs consist of boys of the same clan. And warbands are often small compositions of from within a tribe. I like that. They've made it sort of, okay, here's your big picture, then here's your social construct, the way the clans cut through it, the way they just feel they have an affinity for the same type of orcs. A certain orc realizes he likes going fast, and he starts to wear red, then realizes, oh man, there are loads of other orcs who like the same thing as me. I must be an evil son. Great, evil sons. But they're still in a tribe with thousands of other orcs, or hundreds of other orcs, depending on the size of the tribe. And so there'll be evil sons bits and death skull bits and so on. So I kind of like that. A bit about the power of the Waaagh, Gork and Mork. So previously they've just said Mork, cunning but brutal, Gork, brutal but cunning. But then it talks about things like from Mork flow such notions about teleporters and blasters, complex flying machines, tractor beams, and custom force fields, where a wily greenskin, such as a commando who's likely to name his weapons, he would be likely to call them something like the claws of Mork or Mork's fingers. Then over here, in the I'll come back. We have that at the end. I did see that.
Oh, did you? Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. Right.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But I'll do that one at the end. That's all right.
That's fine.
Then when it talks about Gork, it says Gork's influence is felt amidst the ground-pounding, brass-knuckled masses of Goth infantries and the thunderous hunting stampedes of beast snaggers, and his war cry is the snarl of battle wagon engines and the cannon fire. The divine equivalent of a boot to the teeth. He epitomizes the most fundamental essence of what it is to be an orc. So I like that. They're only little sections, but I do quite like that. So then there's a page per clan about what they're all about. And they do a decent job of explaining what Goths are and what evil sons are, what bad moons are. All the special characters have got a page as well. So there's info on Boss Snickscrot, on Gazgul, Mad Doc Grotsnick. I always have trouble saying that. And Snakebites, Zogrot Wartsnagger, Mozrog Scragbad, who is the new one that's riding like an albino squig, Freebooters, and Captain Badrock. So yeah, they've all got a sort of page of narrative that explains what they are. It all broadly matches the previous canon. So, I mean, the sort of suffix below each one. The Goth clan, big, mean, black and green, referencing the war paint. Evil sons, red ones go faster. Bad moons, too many teeth for their own good. Blood axes, cunning gits. Death skulls, light-fingered loot grabbers. I do like that. Mad Doc Grotsnick, one scalpel short of a med pack. Snakebites, always forward about being backward. Freebooters, a clan for the clanless. And Captain Badrook, the freebooter king. Little titter from Crimson there. So in terms of the stats for the clans, I mean, I won't go into them in a huge amount of detail. And I think these have mostly already been previewed by GW. But they've changed now the mechanic of when you roll a 6, you get to roll an extra dice. That appears to have just gone from the whole codex. Wherever that was, if it's still there, it's now a 6 gives you an extra hit. So Goths get an extra. If they roll a 6 to hit in melee, it counts as an extra hit. If you charged, etc., you get +1 strength, which. And one thing they have done away with, they've done away with Scar Boys, which I'm very disappointed by. So they were a sort of halfway house for a Goth, specifically Goths, between an Orc and a Knob. They were sort of bigger, more grown, lots of scars. They had those in the previous codex. It was a command point upgrade, which very few people ever took that I saw, but I used to take it. It was a laugh. That seems to have gone, but now Goths just seem to have the strength bonus on the charge. Bad Moons, they used to get reroll 1s. They've now got an extra 6-inch range on Dakka and heavy weapons, and whenever they roll 6 on a ranged attack, the armor pen gets better. Evil Sons are mostly unchanged, except they don't get +1 to charges now, and most guns aren't assault weapons, so their thing doesn't really help that much. They used to get a 6-up shrug, but they've done away with that. I mean, I'm assuming the extra dice rolls are to it's a combination of removing the randomness and the speeding up the dice rolling, presumably for the tournament scene. But Snakebites now they get the same thing as the Prophets of Flesh get for Drukhari. They can't, unless the strength of the weapon that's attacking them is 8 or higher, they can't be wounded on a 1, 2, 3, which is kind of, that's kind of all right, because these are meant to be the really resilient ones that just shrug off more damage than an Orc. Snakebite Squigs wound easier, so there's synergy there with Beast Snaggers and other random Squigs. I really hope my Squigoth has the Squig keyword. Death Skulls has changed a little bit. They get to reroll 1 hit roll and 1 wound roll when they're shooting, rather than 1 of each and the damage. They get a 5-up shrug of mortal wounds, which I kind of like. Psychic bolts flying at them, and the lucky blue git manages to get out the way when no one else could. And they get objectives secured for all their infantry, so that's kind of cool. Oh, Blood Axes. So Blood Axes have changed a little bit. They still get the counters being in cover more than 18 inches away, and they still get to shoot or charge when they fall back. But now, they used to get stratagems to allow them basically to infiltrate. They don't get that now. They get the ability to put units in and out of strategic reserve, so to come on and off from the edge of the battlefield, which I kind of like. I kind of like the fact that they can hit you in the side rather than all leap up from under a rock going, surprise! But the commandos can still do that. They've got specialist mobs in here, which I'll be honest, I'm not paying a lot of attention to because they're sort of substitute for clan rules, so I'm not that interested. Custom jobs are still here, except they're not command point buys now. They are points buys for different units. Stratagems, not going to focus on. I'm sure that lots of YouTubers will do full and detailed reviews of the Codex, and we'll go into it in detail. This isn't a review. This is a ramble. I may do a review at some point. I may not. Who knows? Sorry, one moment. Sorry. It's warm out. It's actually warm in. Oh no, my beard's doing that thing again. Where was I? So, I've talked about Weird Boys Warpheads. What's this then? Oh, had my chapter master, had my Mad Doc Grotznik model arrived today? Is that a new model, or is that the existing one? Is there a new? Have I missed a new model? Not if it arrived today. I must have missed it, or it must be the previous one. Did I hear Squigoth? You heard Squigoth. I have a Squigoth. It's not a gargantuan Squigoth, it's a regular Squigoth. My plan for the Squigoth is to put tank busters in it. So I can sort of ride around from the howdah, just firing rockets at stuff, going, ah! So many projects on the go. Reading the books made me want to do all my Ork clans, along with the Imperial Guard, the Necrons, my World Eaters, my Ultramarines, my Khorne Demon, all of it, just all of it. All of it. I need to clone myself 8 times. Oh, I need more bedrooms. Yeah. And one of me would spend all day cooking. I suppose we could rotate that. I digress. Then there's the chapter approved rules. Haven't read those. Not my thing. Crusade. Not my thing. So, interestingly, a few things. So, Dakka weapons, which I'm sure you've all read about. So there's a new weapon type which has a number of shots if you're in half range and a greater number of shots if you're in standard number of shots at full range and then more shots if you're within half range. The idea is the closer the Ork gets, the more Dakka. There's a really nice explanation in here somewhere of what Dakka is, and it says it sums up the Ork concept of loudness and rate of fire and damage. And it says sometimes an Orc's weapon can be, they can consider it to be have the best Dakka, but it doesn't actually harm the enemy, but it bucks and it bangs, and the rate of fire is amazing. But it's sort of a combination of the 4 sort of, I think it was 4, the damage, the rate of fire, the noise, and the bucking and everything. So, and they sum that concept up with the one word Dakka, which I kind of like. I think that's kind of cool. So, as you've probably been imagining, I've got mixed feelings. There's some good, there's some not so good. There's a bit of bland, a little bit like eating plain pasta in places, but also a little bit of like, spicy sauce. Most of my metaphors are food-based. So yeah, Dakka weapons. Most of the Ork weapons are Dakka weapons now, which kind of... So what's that going to mean about how we play the game? Well, we're no longer going to be advancing all our Orks that have got shooters and then hitting on 6s. We're either going to be moving and shooting at our maximum range, or we're going to be... advancing and not shooting. There are very few assault weapons in here. And I kind of like that. I always used to find it a little bit... I know that Orks are... Just because an Ork always moves forward and tries to fire their gun, I mean, it doesn't mean they're not still going to be doing that, narrative-wise, but what it probably means is that when they're running, their aim is so terrible, you might as well totally discount it. So I think that's where that's coming from.
The dog is trying to get on my knee.
I can see. I can see.
Come on. She's on. That's it. She's happy now.
Okay, so other bits and bobs. Mob rule. Not a fan of what they've done to mob rule. Now, if a unit within 6 inches is not under half strength, this unit is never considered to be under half strength. So basically, when you fail your morale check, you're not going to be losing extras because you're below half strength. But you're still going to be failing, you're still going to have Orks running away. Not a fan of that. I've been musing recently how I missed the mechanic of your unit actually breaks and backs off. I miss that mechanic. I like that, narratively speaking. You've driven them back. but they might come back. So mob rule, bit tame. And I'm not sure that really represents the orcs in the narrative, because you get a unit of 30 orcs, you know, you kill 5 of them, then 5, 6 of them, they still break. I can't see anything that prevents that. Your knobs and your war boss can still break heads, but it does mortal wounds to do that, probably more than you might lose if they were running away. I guess if you've got a mob of like 25 that are broken, you're probably going to lose more that way from running than you are from anything else. Ramshackle is no longer a rule on trucks. It's now just a general thing that most orc vehicles seem to get. I have no real problem with this. I did like the random comedy element if you've just hit this truck with a las cannon. Oh no, you shot something that wasn't actually being used because the mech decided he was going to wire a fridge freezer to it, and it just, you know. So I liked that. It was a fun, random, tense element. It's like, oh, ramshackle, hey! Oh. But now it's just -1 damage, unless it's strength 8 or higher. Bit tame. Bit bland, bit sort of plain pasta. It's got the narrative. The narrative element is still there, but it tastes like dry pasta. Here we go, still here, except we got to re-roll the whole roll rather than just the one dice you want. Now, what they've done with Waaagh, I like what they've done with Waaagh. If your warlord is a war boss, then once per game you can declare Waaagh, and it has 2 stages to it. There's Waaagh stage 1, and then what comes after Waaagh stage 1? Or Waaagh stage 2. I imagine they couldn't go to Waaagh stage 3 because then it would be Waaagh stage many, and then Waaagh stage lots. But there are 2 versions of Speed Waaagh and Waaagh, depending on who your warlord is, or Gaz gets both. But Waaagh would be for most peeps. In stage 1, Ork core and Ork character units on the battlefield are eligible to charge even if they advanced. So none of this, everyone's got to cluster around your warlord so you can do the advanced charge bomb. You declare Waaagh, everyone on the table, every Ork core unit and Ork character unit on the table can charge if they've advanced. And the reason I like that so much is because that's what it would be like facing a green tide that not just some of the ones in the middle are energized by the war boss and come faster. Everything. That really makes you want to not do the sort of, oh, I'm attacking you in 3 or 4 waves. The sort of, yeah, everything's moving. Then turn to everything advances, everything charges. And they also get +1 attack. And then stage 2 is called Get Stuck In. And then orcs get +1 attack across the board. So that's the sort of lingering effect. I like that. I think that is narratively spicy, narratively sweet. That's the sort of tiramisu that comes after the spicy pasta. So I like that. What else have they done here? The big mech with the custom course field is in. The KFF, the war boss. War bosses all seem to get like a +6, a 5+ invulnerable save now to represent the fact that they're just dead tough. Fine with that. They're stronger, they're tougher, they got more wounds, they got more attacks. They're generally much more orc. And then there's some new variants in Mega Armor. There's a Beast Snagger version. Called the Beast Boss. There's a Beast Boss on a Squigosaur. The Pain Boss is an HQ, which I quite like. The Beast Snagger Pain Boy mech. The Whirlboy, also an HQ. Troop-wise, you've got Gretchen. Gretchen, right, not a fan of this at all. They have made Gretchen toughness 3. Very displeased with that. That means they're as hard to kill as a guardsman. And it's presumably so that they aren't wounded by 2s on bolters, but the bolters don't wound them on 2s. But they should, because these are quick. Not a fan of that. The boys are fine, although it does draw me attention to the fact that rocket launchers are now heavy. I'll be honest, I'm pleased with that. I think it makes more sense. I still conceptualize that whilst they're running, they're still going to fire them in random directions, but those just aren't hitting. So, okay, it's -1 to hit if they've moved, but that's okay. Heavy D3 blast. I'm cool with that. I think that fits nicely with narrative stuff. Pain boys, beast snaggers, yeah, these are just dudes, nothing particular to sort out to talk about here. Run turds. I like run turds. The squig hound, whilst they're in range of a squig hound, models in that unit ignore modifiers to combat attrition tests. So you have a bunch of run turds running along with your grots, and they won't run away as easily because they're just more afraid of being eaten by the squig hound. Works for me. Burner boys. Here's where there's some stuff is going to get a bit. There's going to be ing here. So first thing, they've made burners assault D6, which I am pleased with. Although it looks like the ability to use them in close combat for the -2, I think that's a strategy now. I don't think that's just something they just get. But they've gone back to D6, which I like. I like the idea of them running forward and just burning stuff. And it's not D3 now. Because I always thought that being D3 was a bit of a cop-out. Well, they've all got flamers, but that'll just be too hard. So we'll make them rubbish flamers. But anyone who plays Orcs, anyone who's bought a box of burners and looters come in a box of 5. And in that box, you can make 4 burners or looters and 1 spanner. So what people do is they buy 3 or 4 boxes and just use the burners and looters to get 5 burners, 10 burners, 15 looters. Now, the minimum unit size is 4 burners and 1 spanner. So we're going to need spanners. That's true of burners and looters. Need to acquire spanners. Grr, grumble, grumble. Tank busters, pretty much unchanged. Well, not necessarily unchanged. There's probably loads of intricacies that I am totally glossing over with a special spoon. You should come over for cut. Stop inviting people over for curry.
Wasn't people?
I have difficulty enough cooking. I have difficulty enough cooking for 3 or 4.
Oh, stop being naughty.
It's my hobby. It's my other hobby. Yes, there's probably lots of bits that I haven't quite got in here. I like what they've done with commandos. They've now given commandos loads and loads of weapon options. I assume to align with the kill team box, but actually, I got given by a friend a couple of weeks ago some old metal commandos he found when he was clearing out. He got rid of all his 40k stuff a long time ago. He'd obviously missed a couple of bits. And there was a unit of commandos. And all the stuff they used to get, they can now get from like the release of this book. So I'm like, yeah, cool. I'll use the metal on this. That's cool. Nubs are pretty similar. They've done away with I'm looking at the buggies and stuff now. They've done away with all the buggies must start within a few inches of each other and then split out. That doesn't appear to be a thing anywhere. A lot of these are mostly unchanged. War bikers, maximum number 9 now. That's less than it used to be. Not an awful lot else to say with this. Death copters are back. We probably knew that. Met guns. Oh. Plain pasta. hydrating. See, it's caffeine free. I'm never going to get a Coke sponsorship if I keep doing that with Pepsi. Still no sponsorship. So yeah, the bubble chucker still is random, but it's now 3 fixed profiles, and you randomly select one of them. Okay, it's still random, but it's not nearly as fun as strength 1, damage 6, AP 1. That's just still mega and totally random, and I love it. Custom mega cannon is still pretty similar. The smasher gun, the one where they use a tractor beam to lift you up and then smash you against the planet as fast as they can. You bang, bang. Where you take mortal wounds if you roll higher than your toughness. That's gone. That's almost identical to the custom mega cannon now. What did they do to the guns from Teutonic? So most of the guns in here now that were assault, so shooters and big shooters, are now Dakka weapons, which have 2 profiles. So it might be. In fact, let me find a shooter. Commandos, mega knobs. Where are the boys?
Did you just say?
Where are the boys?
No, before. Meg what?
Mega knobs.
I thought you did. So.
Knobs, short for nobles.
Oh.
Yeah, the big knobs.
Oh, that's all right. Just checking.
It's a comedy gag that GW made up in the 80s that they probably never imagined they would have to stick with as part of a multi-billion-pound empire. So shooters. So guns. Dakka. It says Dakka 3/2. 18-inch range. So if you're firing between 9 and 18 inches in range, you get 2 shots. But if you're below half, you get 3. So big shooter. So 36-inch range. So between 0 and 18, 5 shots. Between 18 and 36, 3 shots. So that's basically what they've done. Battle wagons, they're pretty much as battle wagons were. Killer cans, not happy with killer cans. So killer cans, they've done a few things with killer cans that don't please me. These things do not please me. They are pasta that tastes sour pasta. The thing that I'm okay with, they've taken the drill, the claw, and the saw, and they've just replaced that with claw. Yeah, okay, it's a can close combat weapon. But the thing that is really peeving me is they've upped them to weapon skill 4+. So a Death Dread, which is an orc in a suit, can't shoot any better than an orc can, can't hit any better than an orc can, but a grot can hit better. Presumably to stimulate sales. There's no rationale anywhere in the book or any other equivalent of giving them the tech makes them hit better. They haven't even put like squig targeters or adrenal squig injectors or something that makes them hit better to try and, just to try and rationalize it a little bit. No, they've just upped the weapon skill. So you're going to see a lot of killer cans. They're going to be proper killy and cans. They were pretty useless 3 shakes. They were, but they were funny. They were funny as hell. I loved my killer cans running into a fight, killing nothing, then running away because one of them died. It was amazing. But probably no one ever played them. That's probably why they changed it. But it made my soul smile. Flash gits. So you can no longer take flash gits as part of a regular detachment. They used to automatically have the freebooters clan, but it used to say, you can take flash gits as part of any detachment. It doesn't change your clan word. They've now given flash gits a clan word. No explanation for this. There's nothing anywhere I can see that says flash gits, actually, they belong to clans and they don't go anywhere. They've still got pirate hats. It still talks about going off and doing the orc pirating, but they're not freebooters anymore. That's the way you put them in your detachment, is you make them bad moons or death skulls. We don't like that. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be taking them and... Trucks. Yeah, nothing much to say about trucks. Dakka jets, but this one I haven't really looked at these. Gorkanauts and Morkanauts are Lord of War choices now. They're 19 power each. Defense-wise, same as a knight. Toughness 8, 24 wounds, 3 up save. So they're the Orc Knights. Yeah. Stompers don't appear to be any better, but do appear to be significantly cheaper, which happy with. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is me flicking through the book and getting to the end. One thing that I know I didn't see, but I do know, is you can only have one war boss per detachment. So, you're all right. Just move me on.
Spreading out.
I'm spreading it. You can only have one war boss per detachment, which is okay. I kind of like that. I'm disappointed they haven't introduced a big boss, which is like the biggest orc in a subgroup, because the way I think of the the orcs in a tribe is there'll be like the big boss of each of the clans and then the war boss over the top of them. So a mission might include the clan war boss, but also the goth big boss. But I guess that's only because I have a slightly different outlook on how I build my armies. I guess you could still do your evil sons detachment with a war boss, and then do your goths with a war boss, and just narratively he's the big boss, and your warlord is the goth guy. I think it says your war boss has to be the warlord, which I like. Yeah. How are we doing for questions? Let's do some questions. Thank you. Rocket launchers being D3 and blast is pretty neat, though. Yeah, I agree. 3 shades. I do like that. Feels more explodey. Feels like lots of Dakka there. Really loud. Yeah, I like that. It represents the orc approach of just throwing random ordnance at their opponents and seeing what lives. Right then. Teutonic Knight is surprised that orcs can count to 2. Orcs have always been able to count to 2. 1, 2, and 2, and 2. They count to 3 by sneezing. Then 4 is many, and 5 is lots. How many? Lots. How many? Just 2 of them. All right. How many? Lots. Oh, okay. Any number higher than 2. Oh, just excuse me 1 minute. My nose is doing the weird thing. What a way to spend a Tuesday night, eh, guys? This hairy man blew his nose at us. From Chapter Master, I'm gutted they've done away with the never-ending greed-tied stratagem. Yeah. Do I like that or not? I like the fact that you used to be able... The thing that I used to find quite jarring, and it's an 8th ed thing, is they had loads of stratagems that said you can recycle this unit, so take off the last couple of survivors and then bring it back again. But you know what? That's no different to having a stratagem that says bring on another mob. I mean, Chaos have had a way of getting more demons, gene stealer cults, getting more hybrids, more gene stealers. Just here's a strat, they turn up. Why couldn't you do that? In match play, you still have to pay reinforcement points for it. So I'd have liked to have still seen something like that in there, but not with the recycling doesn't. The recycling doesn't sit terribly well with me, but yeah, I think summoning more orcs in, maybe from the back line, yeah, from your deployment zone, which makes it more hazardous for your opponent to get things in their deployment. And yeah, I'd have liked to have seen that. Ping. Off topic. Is Ping the name of the person who... right, okay. Can we expect a Death Force Corps in the backlog with the kill team set? Oh, I don't know. Maybe. I'm interested in seeing how kill team plays. On all accounts, they've totally redone it. It's a totally different game, mechanic wise now, which I might be interested in. I'm kind of reluctant to take on more and more stuff. So it all depends on my whim at the point in time that I may or may not click it into a basket. I mean, I've got boxed armies in there that I've had since 7th ed that I haven't started assembling yet. So just because I buy it, there's no guarantee you're going to see it. Right. Master of Puppets. Is he pulling my strings? When will we see the Claw on the channel with his Death Skulls versus your boys in yellow? The Claw doesn't play 40k anymore, mate. No, he hasn't played since 8th ed. He might have the occasional game for a laugh, but in a week or two, you will see his Ork planes against my Imperial planes in our Aeronautica Imperialis premiere, where we learn how to play the game by going, right, we've read the section on movement, we're now going to do some moving. Right, we're now supposed to shoot. Right, let's read the page on shooting. Pause. Read the page on shooting. Yeah, okay. I'm screwed. Maybe should have read that first. Literally what happened. But an interesting end result, though. But we are thinking about trying to do some campaigns with Aeronautica. It is just, we just both instantly took to it. Really simple mechanic, actually quite complex to learn. Complex, it's very simple to pick up, seems quite complex to master. Yeah, so. Scott, when you finish, Paul, you could have a look at my complete army in the Discord. Have a look at my complete army. Let's come back to that at the end. Hold that for the end. Right, what we got? Or was that the end? Eldar blog. Do humans worship Gork and Mork? Yes, Crimson passed this to me when I was talking about Gork and Mork. But you know, I needed my subconscious to work on this a little bit. I don't think... Oh, orange. Oh, Teutonic Knight. Thank you so much, man. Towards the next Black Crusade. Well, the War of the 10 Legions is currently raging in the members' lounge. This weekend... Who is it this weekend? It's either going to be Death Guard and World Eaters with Gambit, or it's going to be Emperor's Children and Alpha Legion with Rob Not Steve, who I am playing on Thursday. So if you're interested in the Chaos infighting, unless if you're already a member, you guys know where it is. If you're not already a member, check out channel memberships. Do humans worship Gork and Mork? Well, so this got me down. I glanced at it and thought, do they? Could they? Can they? Rabbit hole down. If humans worshipped Gork and Mork, they would have some kind of manifestation in the warp. Where do Gork and Mork reside? Are they just concepts? Or are they actual deity-type powers? Where do they live? Do they actually get created almost ad hoc by the Ork Gestalt, by the wire energy Gestalt? Is it possible for a human to worship Gork and Mork? Probably not. I think that the style of warp, and this is just me guessing, the style of warp energy generated by Gork and Mork is entirely other to the human psyche. I think it only relates to orcs. I think a human would have no frame of reference. And I think, well, I mean, a human can worship anything, right? Anyone can set up a little shrine with a little green head on it going, oh, Gork, give me power. I I don't imagine anything would result. If you know differently, if anyone knows differently, if anyone's got any source material that they're aware of humans worshipping Gork and Mork and it actually having some kind of effect, I'd be really, really interested to see it. So drop a comment. Okay, thanks, Eldar Blog, for that question that made me go, I don't know how to answer that. I have to think about that. How we doing? Question me.
Just that one?
Just this one. Yeah, when you finish, could you have a look at my complete army in Discord? I can try.
I've got Discord up. Ooh.
You've got Discord open.
Yeah.
Complete army in Discord. Finished models. Scrolly. Oh, I don't know if Scott is the same as Hill 42H, but oh no, they're not orcs. They're Imperial things. Where are we? Hobby stuff. I can't see it, Scott. And obviously there's lots of people watching who can't see what I'm doing, so I might have to have a look at that another time. Do you want to tag it for me? If you go in to where you've put it and just do an @say hi Paul and point me towards it and I'll have a look. Oh wow, we have a new member. Cretacean Born. Welcome to level 1 Discord access. So you should be able to find the link to the Discord to join in all the shenanigans. Okay. Oh, are we on the end game, are we?
We are on the end, yeah.
Okay. Well, actually, wow, where has the time gone? We are over an hour in. Okay, well, I guess I've just done a full throttle, open the book, flick through it, and say random things that come into my head, which we all know is my home run swing, to borrow an expression. So, where are we with a wrap-up? Okay. So, big welcome to Ian Horlocks, C94 George, and Cretacean Born, new members. Hi, guys! Great to have you. And then, from Ian, not a 40k player, likes watching battle reports and hearing discussions. Long-lapsed RPG player from the 80s when GW sold not only their own products. That was a long time ago, man. Long time ago. I haven't role-played in a long time either. I'm really glad you're enjoying the battle reports and stuff. It's a great way to live, not vicariously, but it's a great way to enjoy the hobby without having to invest as much time and effort in it when you know there's a time, effort, money when they're commodities that are hard to come by. So really cool. Big thank yous for super chats to Eldar Blog, Chapter Master, and to Teutonic Knight 92. Again, thank you guys. You are awesome. So with that, thank you, Crimson, as ever, for expert job on the adminning and the post-iting, and you've now found a new place to put them when you want me to read them out by attaching them to my elbow.
Absolutely. No hair there now.
No. I just wish you wouldn't use duct tape.
It was glue. Yeah,
you remind me of the time I got Evo stick on my arm when I was making a roleplay suit of armor. Had no hair there for about a year. Great days. Okay, well, thank you all very much for joining me, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Stay safe, everyone. Bye for now. Bye-bye. I just turn this off then.